What's going on, kids? Today, Mr. Dietrich and I are going to knock out an alignment, or at least get some numbers, for this 93 Civic Del Sol. So before we get going, we got to make sure that all the tires on the vehicle are set to the proper inflation pressure. So on this car, we're going to go to about 32 psi. And then we go to pull it up on the alignment rack, we need to make sure it's as straight and as centered on the rack as possible, because it's going to make it easier for the targets and the cameras to kind of talk to each other. We want to get it as good as we can get it so that the computer doesn't have to figure out a whole lot to kind of make up for our mistakes. So now the car's up on the lift, we need to make sure that it is in neutral, and if it's an automatic transmission, just leave it in neutral, leave the keys in the ignition, and then make sure the parking brake is down, because we're going to use some wheel chocks to make sure we keep the wheels exactly where we need them to be. On the front of the alignment rack, we've got these turn plates, and there's a set of turn plates up front here, and then there's a set of turn plates in the back that the rear wheels are sitting on. So we need to adjust these turn plates so that when the wheel goes forward, it's going to be centered on the plates. Same thing, driver and passenger side. That looks all right. And now we need to position the vehicle so that the front edge of the tire, the front edge of our tire here is lined up with this bolt in the middle of the turn plate. So we can roll this thing forward. Whoop. To about there, and then go ahead and put those blocks behind the rear wheels to hold it in place. Perfect. Now the car is up on the rack, and we can start taking a look at the actual alignment machine software. All right, so on our software here, we need to go to begin alignment here in the bottom right corner. Everything that we do is going to kind of all stem from this bottom right corner. That's going to be where the alignment rack kind of tells us what to do. So we'll go to begin alignment, and we need to tell it what type of car we're working on. So what's kind of neat about this software is where it says work order right here, we can take our barcode scanner and then find the barcode on our car and use that to plug in the VIN. And now our VIN is plugged in, and when I press OK, it knows that we're working with a 1993 Del Sol, and it's pulled up all of our alignment specs. So we can see that the front camber, we're looking at negative 1/4 of a degree, plus or minus 1 degree. There we go. And our left caster, we're looking at 1.17 degrees, tolerance plus or minus a degree. And then total toe should be 0, but they give you that wiggle room of a 0.16 degree kind of either way. We have our specs for our rear as well. Notice there's no caster for the rear because it's not a steering set of wheels. The next thing we need to do is mount our sensors down here in the bottom right. And it tells us exactly what to do. We need to make sure that we have all of the plates put into our slit plates, so the turntables. We need to raise the turn plate bridges, which we kind of don't have because I lost them. And then we want to make sure the car is steering straight ahead, and then go ahead and mount our targets. These are our targets, and they are located kind of on either side of the alignment rack. There we go. We got holders for them on the left side and the right side. And if we look at these, there is a number and a picture that tells you which corner of the car it goes on. So this is the one that goes on the front left by the steering wheel. So Mr. Dietrich and I are going to slap these on the car. So as I go to put this on the vehicle, we've got these two arms, and there's a little gray push lever. So I put this on the wheel and grab these arms and pull out. So it grabs on, a treaded part of the tire, center it up as best I can, and press down on this gray handle until it clicks. It's important that the arms are completely horizontal. We want them level and as close as we can get it into the middle of the wheel, because our next step is called a rolling compensation. And as we roll the car forward, the cameras and the lasers are going to shoot off of these reflectors, and the computer is going to do the math to figure out exactly how close to the middle we got, and it'll run that math constantly to make sure we're getting accurate readings. Now that our car is up in the air, we can notice that on our computer screen, we no longer have that window that says, that it can't see the targets. And in the bottom right corner, we can see green lights by all of these wheels. So that lets us know that the machine can see those targets. We've done all the things on the screen, and it's time to go back to that bottom right corner and press ready. So you saw real quick, just that real quick flash. That was the computer taking a picture of where the targets were on those wheels. And this tells us by looking at the screen that our wheels are back here, so it's rolled backwards, and we need to roll the vehicle forward by hand until this arrow goes here into this green middle part. It's going to watch and see how they rotate to figure out where the center of the rotation is so that it can do the rest of the calculations. So let's go do that now. All right, so I'm at my rear left wheel, and I'm going to pull this front wheel chock out, and then without blocking my targets, because remember, those cameras up there with the flashing lights need to have a clean line of sight to these targets. So if I were to move my hand in front of this, you'll see up on the screen that it can't read it, and it gives me a message, or it just completely blanks out that target saying that it can't read it. So, kind of standing clear to make sure I don't block the target, I'm going to slowly roll this forward until I'm on the turn plates and I haven't run over my targets, and then I place the wheel chocks back in their position. All right, so we got Mr. Dietrich up in the car right now, and we're going to have to do a couple of things. We have to block the wheels, which we already have done. And then we need to lower the turn plate bridges, which we don't have, so don't tell Hunter I lost them. And then remove the pins from all the slip plates, because the wheels are going to need to turn while we're making our adjustments and while we do this last check. This next check that we're going to do is called a caster sweep. So we know our camber and we know our toe from the positions of those targets, but we can't tell caster because the cameras are looking straight ahead, from the front of the vehicle. So we're not looking at it from the side to be able to measure caster. So this next step, the caster sweep, is where we're going to turn the wheels to the left and turn the wheels to the right, and the cameras are going to watch to see how those kind of lasers reflect as the wheel rotates. And by looking at that, we can figure out what angle our suspension is at as it goes forwards or backwards from its center line. Caster. We got our brake pedal depressor. Mr. Dietrich's now going to start the car and then use this brake pedal depressor to hold down the brake pedal while we're doing our next steps. We've got wheel chocks. The car's not going to roll forwards or backwards off the rack, but now that the pins are out of these turn plates, the front wheels can rotate front and back as we make adjustments. So we need the brakes to be held on so that doesn't happen. We'll start the car and put our foot on the brake so the brake booster helps us, and then put this bit on the pedal and slide this in front of the seat so that it kind of locks itself in place. So I'm up in the car. Mr. Dietrich had to bail. So I've got my brake pedal depressor, and I'm going to start the vehicle. So put the clutch in, make sure I'm in neutral still, start the car. Press down on the brake pedal, and then take this brake pedal depressor and jam it down on the pedal. And notice I'm putting it on my right hip. Jam this up against the wheel. It's kind of awkward holding a camera. And jam that under the seat. There we go. So now that's stuck in place. It's on my right hip. And I can turn the car off. So from here, hopefully you'll be able to see the screen a little bit better. But I need to go up there and hit ready. All right, so now that I've hit ready, I need to do that actual caster sweep. So I'm going to take my steering wheel and do exactly what it says on that screen. And then as I slowly turn the wheels to the left, I get my green mark and it takes a picture. And now I'm going to slowly turn my wheels the other way until I get into the green. And then bring it back to center. All right. Now, this is another super important part. We need to make sure that we center up our steering wheel to the way we want it to be when we're driving. So I'm going to try and get some slop out of my steering gearbox by going right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left. We can even see it doing that on the screen. Right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, center. All right. Now my steering wheel is straight across, and I can compare that to what I've got on my screen. And I need to jump out now so I can look at my numbers without touching my steering wheel. That's kind of important and also difficult when you're me size in a tiny car. All right, so looking at our numbers here, we can see we've got some alignment issues. The front left is green for toe. So camber I'm not super worried about. I'm okay with having some more camber on this car because it's a race car. Caster's right where it should be. And then our toe, if we look, our left one is pretty well good on the money. And then our right side is actually towed out. So what that means is when we're driving this car, bringing the wheel slightly to the left would make it go straight. This isn't a ton, so it probably wouldn't even be noticeable. And I could probably move the steering wheel a little bit over to make this screen go green, but it would be, kind of over a degree or so. Toe is kind of what you would use to, if your car, you're driving and this is straight. That's probably a toe issue. And then in the rear, our camber looks fine. We got about a degree on each side, but this left toe back here is kind of way out of spec. So I do need to make a toe adjustment on that left-hand side. Keep looking at this screen here. On the right-hand side, these are all the steps that we've done. And it also kind of gives you a quick list of what you should be doing and in what order. So this Hunter machine's super nice in that the first thing that we should do is adjust our rear toe. And then we adjust front camber, and then we adjust front toe. It gives us that kind of order of operations on how we adjust things. And if there is no adjustment, it doesn't even give you the option to do it. So yeah, come back next time. In our next video, we'll take a look at how to actually make these toe adjustments and to use this feature called wind toe, which is a specific thing to Hunter that makes alignment, or at least front toe alignments, super duper easy. Be good, and I'll see you next time.